Your Honor, my name is Carly Banashevsky and I am the prosecutor in this case. It is my pleasure to represent the people of this state. On November 7, 1997, the defendant in this case, Sean Brunetti, was charged with murder and conspiracy to commit murder. She loaded the murder weapon and provided the murder weapon in the shooting and killing of Jackie Potomski. The crime committed by Nikki Blanc, who is now dead as a result of the shooting, was highly encouraged, influenced, and executed with the help of Miss Brunetti, due to a hate between Brunetti and Potomski over a past relationship and the accidental killing of Sean's dog. The evidence shows that Blanc was assisted and accompanied by Brunetti in this murder. The evidence, including Sean's fingerprints found on both the murder weapon and the ammunition, the past aggression shown by her, the statements concluding that Nikki was highly influenced by Brunetti, and the description of the planning of the murder all prove that Sean Brunetti is guilty. It is said that on November 6, 1997, the night before the crime, Nikki Blanc, Sean Brunetti, Katie Johnson, and Shin Tin Wei had all been at Brunetti's apartment. The facts will show that there had been beer and talk of hunting a Russian bear between Nikki and Sean, with a hunting rifle at a place like the big oak tree at Millard High School where Jackie was shot. The two teens' discussion was referencing the murder of Jackie Potomski. Nikki and Sean then brought the guns back into Sean's room alone, where the two resided for a few minutes to discuss their murder plans. Later on in the night, Sean had fallen asleep and everyone had left the apartment. However, on the way home, Nikki turned back to Sean's apartment alone. Nikki was said to be on the phone late that night with his door locked, which seemed a little suspicious to even his own mother. The next morning, this exact description occurred, but instead of a Russian bear, it was Jackie Potomski. The next day, the police investigated Nikki's apartment and found scattered beer cans, the hunting rifle missing, and an unregistered AK-47. At the conclusion of this case, we will ask for a verdict of guilty. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this case is about a defendant who tried to cover up her crime by attempting to play innocent and blame it on an accomplice. She could never let a grudge go, which led to the murder of an innocent teen and the death of another. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the prosecution will call 4 witnesses to the stand. We will call Katie Johnson, who will testify that he had witnessed a small fight between Jackie and Nikki the day before the fight, and Nikki was visibly upset. Later that night, Katie was at Sean's residence while she and Nikki planned the murder of Jackie Potomski. He heard for himself that the two were talking of a Russian bear. He thought it was only a way for the two to blow off steam and did not think his own friends would actually commit a murder. Katie will also testify that Sean was immensely influential over Nikki and that Sean had convinced her to steal from her parents as well as a store. We will call the mother of Nikki Blanc, Sam Blanc, who will testify that Sean was a controlling figure in Nikki's life and was very influential over her. Sam had seen the two grow up together and knew the dynamics of their relationship. She even claims that Nikki had stated, "I want to be like Sean." We will also call Officer Peyton Tran, who will testify that the defendant had an unregistered AK-47, provided the murder weapon, and loaded the murder weapon. He will also confirm the location of the murder, proving it is the oak tree Sean and Nikki had talked about in the planning of their murder. The final witness we will call is Renee Lopez, who is the Dean of Students at Millard High. She will testify Sean's aggressive behavior towards Jackie and the drawing submitted by Sean of herself holding a gun while stepping on the character of a bear with the initials JP, or Jackie Potomski. She will also confirm Sean's expulsion for bringing a gun to school and threatening Jackie with that gun. Ladies and gentlemen, this defense may argue that the defendant's Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms is infringed by California Penal Code sections 12276 and 12280, which prohibit the manufacture, sale, transfer, and unregistered possession of certain weapons. However, the right conferred by the Second Amendment is a collective right on behalf of state militias and only applies to the federal government and not to the states. The defendant may also argue that Sean Brunetti was unaware of the planned murder of Jackie Potomski. However, the evidence will indicate that Sean Brunetti, had supplied the murder weapon knowingly of what Nikki was going to do and loaded the gun. Sean is guilty of murder. The defense will argue that Sean is a responsible teenager. However, a responsible teenager would not bring a gun to school, would not get expelled from high school, would not underage drink, would not keep guns in her apartment accessible to anyone, would not possess an unregistered assault weapon, or would not shoot guns would not drink alcohol at the shooting range. All the defense witnesses can testify that this evidence is all true. However, the witness, Lee Brunetti, Sean's father, will do anything or say anything to prevent his child from being found guilty and therefore is not a reliable witness. He's also an irresponsible parent for not supervising his child, allowing his child to have guns, and not punishing his child for getting expelled from school. Bobby Wright barely knows Nikki and Sean and has only had a bad encounter with them once, but the problem never became serious and therefore is not a reliable witness. The defense will also bring out Shin Tin Wei, who was not paying attention the night of the planning of the murder and had also been drinking, and therefore may not remember the details correctly. She will also testify that Nikki had gone back to Sean's apartment alone, probably to discuss the murder and finalize the plans. Finally, the defense will bring out Sean Brunetti herself, who would hide the truth to keep her innocence. She is manipulative and sneaky. She conspired with Nikki in the murder and used Nikki to do the dirty work. She has threatened the lives of many and has also now taken the lives of 2. Sean is guilty for this murder, as well as his wrongdoings to the school, his father, and most importantly, his cousin, who was foolish enough to want to be like Sean. Sean is guilty. The state cannot let Sean off. Sean is guilty on 3 counts. Count 1, murder. Count 2, conspiracy to commit murder. Overact 1, loading the murder weapon, and overact 2, providing the murder weapon, and count 3, unlawful possession of an assault weapon. At the conclusion of this case, we would ask you to find the defendant guilty that the state has not met its burden of proof. Thank you.